Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome to our Nomad Stories event, Designing Your Life to Work from Anywhere. My name is Nava, this is Julie, Andrea and Zach. We'll do some proper intros in a little bit. But just while people are starting to roll in, if you wanted to do a quick intro yourself, you could just very quickly drop in the chat where you're from, what you're working on, and yeah, I'm just making sure that all of our settings are right, perfect. And also just check, my drop down sometimes defaults to host and panelists, so make sure that you're addressing your intros to everyone. So yes, if you'd like to just drop into the chat where you're from and what you're working on, we'd love to hear from you. For anyone just joining, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for being here to talk about nomad life, how people design their lives to work from anywhere. Just while we're waiting for a few more people to roll in, if you'd like to drop an intro into the chat with where you're from and what you're working on, and we'll get started in just a couple of minutes. Hi, Carlos, welcome. We'll do some intros of the panel shortly, and I'll do a very quick intro of Outsite and what we do for those of you that are new to us. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining us. If you have any questions, please do submit them in the Q&A box. You can also do them in the chat box. We'll stop every so often during the presentation to answer any sort of pressing questions, but there will also be a dedicated Q&A session at the end. Okay. Let's get started. Hi, Tanya. Hi, Jennifer. Nice to see you all here. Okay. Well, welcome everybody. My name is Nava. I'm the community lead for Outsite. I'm also the community manager for the LA spaces. So we have 3 locations in Venice, 1 in Hollywood and 1 in Malibu. If you have any questions specifically about LA, please do contact me. I'll drop all my contact details in the chat later. So for those of you who are new to Outsite, we offer beautiful places to stay designed for remote workers. So you become a member, and then you choose the option that works best for you. So we have private rooms, we have studios, we have apartments. So you'll look at our different locations and yeah, just figure out which option is the best for you. Becoming a member also gives you access to our member hub, which is our online community, deals and perks on our locations, which are constantly updated, and then access within our member hub to kind of trip planning, connection with other members, where they're at, where they're going. So yeah, if anyone has any questions about Outsite and would like to talk more about our membership, I will drop my contact details in a bit later and you can contact me after the event. So thank you so much again for joining. Thank you to our panel for being with us today. I'm going to pass on to them now for them to do their own introduction, and then we'll get started with the presentation. Hello, panel. I'll select Julie to go first, and then you can popcorn on to the others.
All right, happy to kick it off. My name is Julie Rose. I originally am from Minnesota. I later moved to Arizona, and I've been traveling the past 2 years. So that leads me to the next answer, I suppose. I'm currently not really based anywhere. I am traveling full time and basically change my location every few days to few weeks to maybe a few months, really depends. What I do for work, well, I used to have a full-time job in the corporate world and I quit my job. So now I'm really just trying to enjoy my life. And also I have a blog, I have kind of a social media platform that is growing, and I do a lot of content creation, and I'm also mentoring some folks who are interested in lifestyle like mine. So that's what I do now for work, even though it's more of a fun hobby. It's because I really do like to inspire people. And my location independent status, well, like I said, don't really have a home base, although I do keep some things at my parents' house. So fully nomadic, and just really loving the lifestyle.
Thank you. Andrea, do you want to pick it up? Yeah, I'll go next. So my name is Andrea. I'm from Texas. I moved to LA. I've been based here for the past like 2.5 years on and off. I've been kind of doing the hybrid nomadic style. I have a home base for a little bit and then go travel and then come back and get a home base. So I currently just got a home base in LA like a week ago. And before that, I was nomadic for like 9 months, traveling through Central America, Europe, and the US. And I'm a content manager for a health tech startup. And I also do content creation. If you follow Outside on social media, you may have seen me in some of the videos. And yeah, I think I answered all the questions. Zach.
Awesome. Thanks. So hey everyone, you have Zach here. Originally grew up in the Syracuse area, upstate New York, and then was based out of Boston for 10 years between college and work. And then been able to do the whole nomad lifestyle for the past 2 years now. So currently I'm based out of Austin, just got here last Wednesday, just in time for Austin city limits. I'm gonna be here for a little bit up until Thanksgiving and the holidays. And in terms of work, I'm a product manager at PwC, developing applications that our audit and consulting practice utilize. So that allows me to work fully remote, which has been nice. And then in terms of location independence, fully nomadic, I have a checked bag, a carry-on, and my backpack. Those are all my belongings right now. And I'd say it usually depends. Oftentimes it's a new location every month, but I think more recently have been trying to enjoy locations for a little bit longer, but it changes time to time.
Super cool. Thank you so much, everyone. So I guess it leads nicely into what inspired you to create this kind of lifestyle. What was the desire behind it? Why did you want to be able to work from anywhere? Well, one of you choose who to start.
I can jump in here.
Go, Zach. Go for it.
Thanks. So I think, yeah, just came up on 2 years of living the nomadic lifestyle. And I think the biggest driver to start was actually COVID. I was based in Boston and everything was shut down, couldn't do anything. So was in a position work remotely where I could go anywhere. So the biggest driver to start was hiking destinations and outdoor locations. So that was the first part of it. Kind of what's like a relatively safe activity to do during COVID. So I think that was the biggest driver. And then as we got into the year after that, COVID pretty much going away. After that was just the new experiences, the new challenges. And I'll be honest, I chase good weather as well. Probably a snowbird at this point, just avoiding the winter. So anywhere where I know I can kind of be outdoors, enjoy good weather, that's a big driver for where I'm choosing to live from and being able to continue working remote.
I'm with you on the chasing summer, always.
Yeah, I think, Zach, your answer resonated with me. And it's a little bit similar in my world too, because I've been just over 2 years nomadic as well. And in the summer, basically, when I started this harebrained idea, right? It's Phoenix. It's super hot. You can't do anything. The gyms were shut down. Nothing. You couldn't do it. You couldn't do anything. And I'm like, if I can work from anywhere, then why am I here in my home office, and instead of somewhere cool where I could be sort of enjoying the world as much as I can with the different precautions we had to take. So I think that was a big driver, but it was still sort of like inside me that it was less of what I wanted and more what I knew I didn't want. And what I knew I didn't want was complacency, routine, feeling too comfortable, feeling like I was living the same day over and over. And that's really how I had felt at that point, 11 years in Phoenix, just like, is this my day? Is this the end of it? And so I really wanted, and I have been sort of chasing this. Every day is different. I'm challenged, I'm growing, I'm learning, I'm meeting tons of new people, I'm experiencing all these new things. And that is really, I think, that feeling, that knowledge is really kind of what inspires me to keep going and keep doing this. So, and I think there was one more thing, but I forgot. So Andre, I'll let you go.
For sure. I definitely resonate with what both of you guys said. When I was in college, I was an au pair in Italy, and I would stay at hostels on the weekend, and I would meet all types of people who were like living this location independent lifestyle that I didn't know that much about. And so I learned a lot about it, and I learned different ways I can make it happen for myself. And after being an au pair in Italy, I realized I want to keep doing this. I want to keep living in different places around the world, but like getting these experiences where I can actually stay for a long time and really get to know a place. And so after that, I started following travel bloggers and then started getting tips and inspiration from them. And each trip I did only inspired me more to continue to create this kind of lifestyle for myself. And I got to meet more people who were doing it for themselves, who inspired me and also gave me tips and knowledge, especially staying at outsides too. But yeah, I am adventurous. I love warm weather. So I live in California. But yeah, for the past year, I was pretty much chasing summer around the world. I'm just naturally really curious about how other people live in different parts of the world. And so I guess it's like a FOMO that I have. I want to experience everything all the time. And so yeah, also have commitment issues. So it's a great lifestyle.
Feel that.
Yeah.
I love that. And the sort of feeling of like not wanting to live the same day over and over again feels like a thread that people in this community talk about a lot, of wanting to experience as much as possible in the world, experience as many cultures, and be able to look back and be like, I didn't live the same life over and over again. Thank you so much, guys. So in terms of work strategy, did you seek out a remote role, or did you decide to create your own? Do you have a side hustle, passive income stream? How do you make it work?
Well, I was lucky in the fact that my job was remote even before the pandemic. And what really changed as a result of the pandemic was just that I had business travel that was taken away. So then I was really stuck, like working from home. And I thought, well, now that I don't have business travel, I don't have to be by my house or by an airport. I can really truly be anywhere within sort of US time zones and or equivalent. So I was able to sort of use that first year and a half of my sort of nomad life journey, traveling around the US, traveling around North America. And eventually at some point I thought, hey, well, I'm talking about my experiences on my blog. I really don't have time to dedicate to that. I really don't have time to work on these other endeavors. I don't have time to see all the things that I really want to see in each place that I'm in. So I did quit my job in December. And so now I'm coming on like 10 to 11 months of being jobless and homeless, I like to call myself. But I do have a fair amount of savings that I'm working with. And then also I've started doing like a side hustle as a mentor for other people who are like interested in a lifestyle like this. So that's a little bit of passive income. And I'm also writing a memoir. So I think, yes, I'm kind of spending money. I'm spending more than I'm earning right now, but I also feel like you can always make more money, but you can't make more time. And I really want to maximize this point in my life. You know, I'm healthy, I'm young, I have the motive and the opportunity to do this. So I kind of worry less about the money, even though that sounds irresponsible, right? But I worry less about that. And I'm like, hey, good things will come. There, I have an abundance mindset. I'll figure the rest out later. And everything works out. You know, everything always works out. So a little bit of everything, I guess, is my answer.
I love that. And it's so true. And I read that sentiment around you can always you can always earn more money, but not more time, is something I also live by. I think it's an inspiring way to think about things.
Yeah, I definitely resonate. Sorry, Zach.
No, go ahead, Andrea.
Well, I definitely resonate with what you said, especially about the abundance mindset and kind of just like taking advantage of this time that we have right now, because everything else will be figured out later. But after being an au pair, I kind of knew that I wanted a remote job right after graduating. So I started freelancing. Right after school, I was working for a corporate retreat company. So I got to help plan trips and then also get to travel for those trips. And that was really awesome. And then now I'm a content manager for a health tech startup, and I do content creation on the side. So that's my side hustle. So I specialize in short form video for TikTok and Instagram Reels.
Super cool.
Awesome. Great. So yeah, I guess in terms of like a remote role, I was kind of similar, Julie, to your situation where I was traveling for work before COVID. I was traveling, 50, 60% during the year. And then when COVID came, traveling went away and it turned into a fully remote position. So even though it wasn't necessarily something I was seeking out, that's kind of what the position transitioned to, which feel very fortunate for that. And that gave me the opportunity where the lease expired in Boston. It was like, all right, can go anywhere. Let's start doing it. In terms of any side hustles or passive income streams, I think Drew and Andrew, I know you both mentioned that you're in content creation, so might be reaching out to you after this. Something that I've been thinking about is content creation, something in the fitness and health space. Because something that I feel like I've been able to do while doing all this traveling is being able to maintain, a healthy lifestyle while doing it, which I think there's potentially a niche there. So something that I've been thinking about.
And that's,
Awesome idea.
I feel like I'm hearing that a lot, that people are able to become or just maintain a wellness routine so much better since becoming remote. That not having to go into the office has meant that people have time to actually look after themselves. Guys, thanks so much. Just moving on to kind of life logistics and how you guys have sort of set up your life. So I think we've kind of covered whether or not you have a home base. But in terms of possessions and your kind of approach to the logistics around insurance, taxes, how would you talk to that? Have you kept things? Have you sold them, donated? Do you still have storage units? Do you have cars, trucks? Yeah.
Well, I can go. I mean, I sold my house, so I had to basically offload everything, had to liquidate everything that was in my house, which, if you ever have to really go through your house and be like, everything needs to disappear in 7 weeks, it makes you think, it makes you like, what was I thinking when I bought all of this stuff? And I kind of developed this like process of, okay, this is what I would try to sell. This is what I would consign. This is what I would bestow, give to people. These are the things that I would donate. These are the things that I would try to sell at a garage sale, all of these different categories. And finally, the things you throw away. So it's very methodical in getting rid of everything. And yes, there were a few things that I stored, but when I went back to Phoenix to clean out my storage unit, I basically went through it all over again and got rid of a lot more stuff. So I kind of wish I just would have gotten rid of everything that I wanted to get rid of in the first place and just not have to deal with it. But I did not. And today I do have a few things in my mom's house. So that's sort of just like seasonal clothing, and then things that I sort of rotate in and out, maybe like my hardcore hiking boots that I don't really need in Europe because I'm not doing hardcore hiking in Croatia, but I have the option when I go back to the States that, hey, if I'm going to Montana, now I have my hardcore hiking boots. So I think I got rid of maybe 98% of my things, which sounds like a lot, but I had a lot of stuff from an entire lifetime. And I do still have my car, and that's because really, I guess for the first like year and 8 months or so of my nomad life, I was driving. So I drove all around the US, I drove to Canada, I drove through Mexico, and I kept my car because I have a dog and I wanted to be able to get around with her easily. And then I could put more things in my car than I could if I just had a suitcase. So while I'm in Europe, I just have a suitcase and a backpack. And I'm in Croatia. I'm here in Europe for like 3 to 4 months. And that is obviously different because now I've downsized even further from like what was in my car to what will fit in my suitcase, which again is kind of that was an interesting exercise in minimalism. So in terms of, I guess, insurance and taxes, I according to the government, you have to live somewhere, right? So I did change my permanent residence to my mom's house. And that's where I have my vehicle registration. That's where I have my, insurance, all of that. I also have like rental insurance for the couple bins that I have at my mom's house. I don't really know if it's necessary, but that's like to protect my belongings. And also, I don't know if you guys know, but when you have things in your car, your rental insurance also extends to your, the stuff that you're driving around in your car in case someone were to break in and steal it. So that's one of the reasons I have that policy. Yeah, I think that's everything in terms of that question. But if anybody has additional questions, again, you can drop it in the chat.
Yeah, I think I can jump in here. In terms of home considerations, kind of working from anywhere, I think that the biggest thing that I do is most of my team is on East Coast time. So I make sure that wherever I'm working from, I'm working EST. So that's been one of the things that's worked best with my teams. Don't get me wrong, 6 a.m. in California is early, but it's also nice being able to wrap up at 3 in the afternoon and, have another 5 hours of daylight to get outside and get out and about. So I'd say that's one of the biggest things about choosing where I'm working from is just making sure that I can still, work those hours where my team needs me. And then I guess in terms of possessions, right, when I left Boston, I was fortunate enough, another buddy was moving to a new apartment. So I was pretty much able just to give him all of my furniture. I have a couple extra, bins of clothes that are at home in Syracuse, but really it's pretty light. I try when I'm traveling not to buy new clothes or new articles because then I'm like, all right, I'm not going to be able to bring this with me to the next destination. I'll probably have like one time during the year where I'll get new clothes. It's usually around Black Friday. We'll do like a refresh for the wardrobe. But anything else that I had, it was either, gave to friends or put in storage. And then in terms of vehicle, when I've been doing all this traveling, I've been flying. And then if I'm in a city like Austin, San Francisco, Boston, then I don't have a vehicle. But if I'm somewhere where, say I want to be hiking, if I'm out in Boulder, if I'm in Lake Tahoe, then I'll rent a car, usually for at least a month at a time. Depending on if you have like any corporate rates you can use, renting a car, it's definitely not inexpensive. When I've done it, it's been anywhere between $800 to $1,000 a month. I would recommend getting a credit card that includes car rental insurance, so you don't have that additional 20, 30 bucks a day to do that. And then, Julie, I'm right there with you with renter's insurance. Lemonade is, I think, a pretty popular one that's out right now that I use while I'm traveling. And then taxes, I do work for a tax accounting firm, so I do need to report each state that I'm working from. So this past year, had to file in about 8 states, which isn't the most fun to do when it comes tax time, but that's just the best way to work with my company.
Do you have an accountant that, sorry, go on, Julie.
I was just did you have to file, did you have to pay for each state filing? Ugh.
Yep. And oftentimes I was paying more to file than I was getting back, but yeah, not great. But like I said, when working for a firm that's big on accounting and taxes, need to follow that.
So you did it all yourself? You filed yourself? Yeah,
I just did TurboTax.
Okay.
I should probably actually go to an actual tax advisor because tax is not my specialty, but maybe next year we'll do that.
We've got an event next month on Nomad Tax.
Perfect.
So attend.
I'll be attending.
Me too.
So I was contemplating the no home base thing for a while. When I first left California, I only planned to be gone for 2 months, so I got a storage unit. I still sold most of my stuff though, but I kept like a lot of my bedroom furniture because I'm really attached to some of my items. I love interior design, so some of them I would not let go. And then also I have a car, and just having a car in California is just pretty necessary and really handy. So I didn't want to get rid of it because I knew I'd come back. So luckily my friend has a parking garage with an empty spot, so I got to store it there for like 9 months, which was really awesome. But yeah, I was nomadic for 9 months, and after that I realized I really just wanted stability and community again, and so I knew I wanted to have a home base in California and just be able to travel and then always have a place to come back to. And so I just moved in here a week ago, pretty stoked. Actually, I have mixed feelings about it. And yeah, so that was the storage. And then for insurance and taxes, when I was gone, I just changed my address to my mom's house in Texas. And then in terms of taxes, I guess I honestly don't remember if I filed in Texas or California. But I also just filed online. I forget the platform that I used. But yeah, and now I'm back in California, so I'll just file here.
Just a follow-up question on, do you feel like you guys have become less sentimental about possessions just over time?
Yeah.
Easily, yeah. Just the essentials. Like, I think at this point I have 2 or 3 going out shirts, and like whatever city I'm in, I'm like, hey guys, you're gonna see this shirt a lot.
When I moved to LA for 5 years ago, I'd been traveling for about 8 months before. So I arrived in LA with a backpack and nothing else. All of my stuff, I feel like I hear a lot, like my registered address is my mum's house, which still is in the UK. But then slowly over time, you build up more stuff. And now suddenly I have a house worth of stuff again. Crazy.
I have this whole criteria when if I were to go shopping, I have this whole criteria of like many questions. Does it serve a purpose? Does this replace anything? Am I, does this flatter me? Am I going to wear this? Do I really need it? Like all of this stuff. Because I did have a little bit of an addiction to shopping in my former life. So, I mean, I have to say, like, I have bought some things, but it's under like very, very careful consideration because I have a limited amount of space, because I already have what I need. And it's really just like, is there maybe something else that I could utilize? And then of course, now that I don't have income, it's very much like, is this worth the price? So that's like a whole nother layer. But also too, I was renting out my house before I sold it for stretches, and I had people just, oh, isn't that so weird? People are in your house, people are sleeping on your bed. And like, I changed the sheets, like who cares, like, and it's true, no one is going to treat your house the way you treat your house. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm not taking it with me, like it's just a house and it's not my forever house. And this isn't my forever stove. And this is like, who cares in the grand scheme of things? Like there's no reason to be so attached. And I think like Americans, we are so attached to things, and that's not doing anybody any favors.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. There's a question that's just come through that I think is relevant in this section. How do you ensure reliable internet, especially in countries with bad Wi-Fi? Like, it's such a key need. Any tips, any experiences you want to share?
Well,
Stay at an outsite. Is that too on the nose for this?
True. Yeah.
I've always stayed in either co-living houses like outside or co-work hostels like Selena, and so I know they're made for just Nomad, so I know the Wi-Fi will be reliable.
I think that's a great tip. Staying in places that are set up for this kind of lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then another question: do you buy health insurance while you're abroad?
I have global expat health insurance.
Okay.
Is
that the name of it or the company?
There's a lot of different carriers.
Okay.
I have a new blog coming out all about health insurance next week. But yeah, there's a couple different carriers. I mean, maybe half a dozen that are kind of big on the market. All kind of varies in prices depending on what kind of coverage you need and what country you're in. It's all very like a, pick and choose certain things that you need and then watch the price inflate kind of game. So that's a lot of fun. But I pay about $160 a month. And that's last year's prices because I bought in 2021. So it is not the same in 2022. And also, you know, you have to do your research because not all companies created equal. And I found that out.
When you finish the blog and you post it, please share on Member Hub as well. I'm sure people would love to see it.
Sure, I definitely will.
Thank you.
I also wanted to add one thing with the Wi-Fi. So like if you're messaging with hotels or Airbnbs, because I stay in those here and there, a lot of my stays are on the short side. I will send them a message and I'll say, what is your internet speed? And ask them to go to speed test and send a screenshot back to me of their speed test, just to see if like, can this even support any kind of uploading and downloading? And, you know, I think they've gotten more used to responding to those types of questions. Sometimes people are like, what the hell are you talking about? But that is another option too.
That's a great tip. And then one other question, are you forced to change your business model at all if you see clients in person usually? Has that shifted during sort of post-pandemic? I don't like to use that term, but you know what I mean.
Well, I don't see anybody in person.
Yeah, my job is not client facing, and I did that purposely.
Yeah, mine used to be just getting together with the internal team, our developers, our software engineers. And yeah, the only thing that's changed there is that it's a lot more virtual meetings. So haven't had the experience of clients prior to.
Perfect. Thanks very much, everyone. Okay, and then in terms of being location independent and the actual travel side of things, I wanted to talk a little bit about how you trip plan, how you determine where you want to go, for how long. Have things shifted over time as you've lived this lifestyle for longer? Talking to your co-living experiences, why you were interested in trying it, where you first learned about it. And then anyone who wants to talk a little bit about Outsight and how you use it in your remote work lifestyle, that would be great.
Yeah, I can jump in here. So I think first of all, in determining where I want to go, like we talked about before, it's you know, where is it going to be good weather? Where is there going to be outdoor activities? I think one thing that's kind of changed as the past couple of years have gone by is that definitely value outdoor activities, but also going to a place where I may have a social circle where I know I'm going to have people to hang out with, explore with, experience new sites with. So there's a couple different factors in determining where I want to go and making sure that it's in a time zone that works for me still being able to work EST time. And then for how long, I would say my minimum stays, I like to have it be at least a month. I've found that in the different cities I've explored, that's enough time for, you know, first couple weeks you can knock out all the big touristy, those sites. And then after that, you kind of get into what do the locals know about this place? So you can get a better feel for the city. Could you potentially see yourself living there, you know, full time? So I felt that at least a month, that's been the sweet spot for me. And I'd say duration changing over time. When I first started doing this, it was, hey, month in each city, then on to the next. We want to see as much as possible. And I think a big part of that changed in the springtime. I got to Austin and I had only booked Austin for February and March, but loved the city so much that I extended into April and May. So that was the longest time I've been in one city in the past year and a half, and enjoyed the city so much back again in the fall. So I'd say I'm kind of trending more towards longer stints in different cities, but over the summer, I was doing at least a month in other locations. But I'd say I'm probably leaning more towards having a longer duration, just because I feel like you also get to a point where you're meeting new people, creating new relationships, and that seeing, you know, where are things going to go, and being able to maintain those. Sometimes it's you're there for a month and out, it may be a little bit more difficult to create those new relationships. And then in terms of co-living, where did I first learn about this? So this would have been summer of 2020. I remember just Google searching, I wanted to get the heck out of Boston. I was like, I got to get out of here. And Outside actually came up as a search. And I remember seeing, oh, they have this awesome house in Lake Tahoe. I want to go out there. I want to hike. I want to be in the outdoors. And so that's when I first found out about it. And I think what really kind of geared me towards trying Outsite is one, looking at it, you have an immediate community wherever you're going. So you're moving to a new city, you have a house, a couple houses, you have the group chat. So it's that immediate social circle getting into a new city. And a lot of people are like-minded. They want to explore, they want to see what's new. So I think that's what drove me to it as well. I'd say on a more practical level in terms of, the cost when traveling solo, if you're looking at Outsite compared to renting like an Airbnb by yourself, that there's definitely a value play there as well. So I think that's what definitely drove me towards it. And being able to, in terms of optics for work and whatnot, being able to present it as like, hey, this is Outsite, this is a co-living, co-working house. Each room has its own desk. So if needed, being on calls can do that just fine, or work in the co-living areas as well. So I think just that aspect of it as well was definitely intriguing. And how do I use it in remote work lifestyle? I think one of the biggest things when starting this and working at more of a corporate position is thinking about the optics of it, right? Because some people be like, oh, Zach's going off to Austin, but I would set the precedent that, hey, yes, I'm in Austin, but work is still the priority. So that's why making EST, working that a priority, and making it known that, hey, yes, I'm in a new city, but this isn't a vacation. The work is going to be a priority. The work's going to get done. And just kind of balancing that where, like I said, you might have some people be like, new city, vacation, that mindset, and just being able to set that straight in terms of, how you're carrying yourself.
Nice. I definitely agree with everything Zach said, especially the reasons why we choose Outsite. Those are all the reasons. And then in terms of how I determine where I want to go, I also really love nature, adventure, proximity to outdoor activities. That's really important to me. Warm places. I love to stay in surf towns, even though I barely know how to surf. I just love the vibes of them. And then I also love places with really warm locals, since I do travel solo and I'm pretty social. So that's really important to me. And then in terms of how long I stay in each place, I'm still kind of finding my sweet spot. I would say 1 month in each country is how I usually plan it. And sometimes it could be 1 to 2 weeks in one city. But now I think I want to travel slower, maybe 1 month in one city, but we'll see how that works out. And then I first learned about co-living. I guess my first communal living experience was staying in hostels when I was an au pair. But I learned about co-living because one of my first bosses used to work for Outsite, and I had wanted to visit California. And he was like, you should check out Outsite's location in Venice. And then I did. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. Also, I love Venice. I have to move here. And so I did. And so, yeah, I've loved Outsites ever since, and have been staying in and out of the LA Outsites. They're like my middle place. Whenever I'm in between places, I'm at Outsite. So yeah. And then for how I use Outsite. So Outsite is great for instance, my job. So my company can always rely on me and know that just because I'm traveling, I'm still gonna get work done. And I love that there's desk in each room, meetings. It's really set up for people to still be really productive, but also still have community. So I really love that parts too.
Thanks so much, guys. Awesome, awesome ads for Outsite.
Well, excuse me, a little bit under the weather here. For me, how I determined where to go. Well, I think when I started traveling around the US, kind of when I first went nomadic, I was chasing the good weather as well. And also was kind of thinking about where are my friends, where haven't I been? I had this goal to see all 50 states, which I achieved. And it's really varied for me. So that first year and almost a half, I was in Austin for a month. I was in Boise for a month. I was in Nashville for a month. So I had sort of these anchor points, these anchor cities that I knew that I really loved, that I wanted to be there for a long time and have community. And then sort of in between, I was like, well, I wanted to check this place out and I wanted to check this place out, but I don't really know if it deserves a month. So I'm going to do a week or 2 weeks or something like that. And sort of that's how I planned my journey around the US, with these things that I wanted to hit in the right months for the good weather. And then sort of what was in between, where friends were, where notable sites were, other things that I wanted to see and visit. And, you know, once I sort of did all my 50 states, then I had a goal that I want to go to Mexico and visit lots of places in Mexico. And I sort of had the same mindset there. Like, I know I want to stay in Mexico City for a month. I want to stay in Puerto Vallarta for a month. I want to stay in San Miguel de Allende for a month. And then I would kind of go in between and do the week or the couple days. If it was a very small city, then just 2 days. If it was a bigger city, then 1 or 2 weeks. And so that kind of, I guess, tactic, perhaps, I've kind of followed that through now to Europe, where I've been now in Europe for almost 3.5 months. And I've been doing the same thing. Like, I'm here for a week and then I'm there for 5 days and I'm here for 4 days and then I'm there for 6 days as I move around, spending time with friends and seeing things, and actually chasing the good weather as well. Because when I got here, it was super hot and I decided to go north instead of south because I couldn't handle like 100 degrees in July. So I think that works for me, but at the same time, it does get tiring, and I really just want to slow down and have those periods of slowness. And that's why I'm here in Croatia for 2.5 weeks in the same city, because I want to just like go to the grocery store and like find a dance class and just, you know, things that I could do to sort of get to know people and it's just relax and maybe not be so chaotic and frenetic all the time. And I think if I break it up, that's good. But also at the same time, I'm planning to do more slow travel, kind of like you said, Andrea, is I want to do, once I get back from Europe, I'm going back to Mexico. And then I can see myself maybe doing, instead of 1 month as my anchor point, my anchor chunk, it's more of 2 months. And maybe I'll stretch it out a little bit, because I'm still battling with like, oh, there's all these places I want to go see. There's all these places I want to visit. And there's just so much to do and not enough time. So I hesitate to really stick it anywhere too long. So I battle with myself. But I think maybe the perfect storm where I'll eventually get is seasonal living, where maybe this is 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, 3 months. And I'm always in like good spring, summer temperatures, and always in a cool city where I've probably already been at. I've probably already, you know, breezed through, but now I know that I really like the vibe of that city. So I kind of imagine that's where this is eventually going. And in terms of co-living, well, yeah, I mean, I think the concept has been around with hostels, and obviously co-working has come up too. And so I'm actually very new to Outsite. I have not stayed in an Outsite yet. Of course, now I'm very, very compelled to, based on all your guys' feedback. But I think what I can see as kind of sort of an outside observer is that you guys are sort of nailing the community thing, because I think that's one of the things that maybe gives people hesitation about trying this. We're like, I don't know if I'm going to meet anybody, and I don't know if I'll have any friends, and it's so hard to meet people, and it's so hard to find people to do things with. I know a lot of people that they struggle with that, who are current nomads that are struggling with that because they are more extroverted, and it's hard to make connections. So I think that's a benefit, and also the fact that you kind of make it simple, you know, because otherwise there's a lot of planning and just logistics that we all have to figure out if we do this on our own. So I appreciate that you guys are making it simple. And now I'm gonna look for some outsides when I get to Mexico.
So great to hear. In Mexico, there is so much to choose from. So you'll have a lot of different options. And I think that's right. I think, yeah, I really, as a community manager, I think we're nailing community. People come to the spaces and like you guys have said, there's an inbuilt community of people who are wanting to do stuff, wanting to connect, but who are also working and who are, focused on their professional lives. But then when they check out at the end of the day, you can go for dinner, for a hike. And I think one of the things that's also really nice is just the consistency. I think, like you say, you can walk into any outside and your Wi-Fi will be connected immediately. I know it's a really small thing, but you know what to expect wherever you go, and having that kind of consistency across all of the spaces is something that I think people really appreciate.
Also a testament to Outside. I met my current roommate at the Outside Malibu house, and we decided to room together. So Outside is great at bringing people together.
It really is.
Yeah, Andrea, going off of that, when I came to Austin in February, ended up becoming really good friends with another guy at the house. We both extended our stay through May. We were able to plan a trip to Portugal together, and now we're just out in San Francisco and now back in Austin. So, and it's funny, when you're traveling different houses, you'll just randomly meet someone that you stayed with before, and it's okay, cool to reconnect. So yeah, some really great relationships formed through Outside too.
That's the stuff that I live for. I love hearing those stories. we had there was a couple that met in the San Francisco house and who are now married.
Andrea and Alex?
Yeah.
yeah, I met them at the Austin house. So yeah, they're great.
They're great. And we did a little blog on them and their story, and it was really, really beautiful. Okay, so we have some time now for some Q&A. I wanted to just kick off before we go into what's in the box. It's just around your challenges and your highlights. What have been the biggest challenges of these of this lifestyle, and what are the biggest highlights?
I get asked this question a lot, so I have it on the tip of my tongue. Challenges, I think logistics are so much work, and planning and booking and navigating and budgeting, especially if you're moving fast, it's such a nightmare. It's like a second job. And then kind of on the more emotional side of the coin, I think it's leaving people or kind of leaving a place and leaving its people. When you've kind of started to feel at home and you've started to build those connections. And I think I've gotten better at it. I've gotten probably pretty good at it now because it's more of a normal thing for me. But I think other people I think a lot of people don't think of geography the same way I think of geography. For me, geography doesn't matter because there's things called planes and people can go meet each other somewhere else. But I think people who are living more of a traditional life think of geography completely different, as in it's a barrier, it's an obstacle. I'll never see you again. This is hopeless. And of course that's negative, right? But I kind of feel like what makes me feel better whenever I leave a place or I leave people, I think, well, people who want to see each other again will, and the world is small and technology is amazing, and it's not goodbye, it's see you later. So I have coping mechanisms.
That's really nice.
I like that. I resonate a lot with that as well. I would say my biggest cons are also logistics. It is a full-time job, and also I'm a bit of a chaotic traveler. I do a lot of last minute stuff. I literally sometimes book a flight the day before I leave, and that's just not really helpful for me. I don't set myself up for success on my job that way. And so I create very stressful environments for myself, especially when Europe during high season when everything is booked out. Wasn't very good. So that was a big challenge for me. And then also I would say community, with co-living and hostels, I do get lots of community, but also having to say bye to people after building a great bond for a long time, it starts to feel like a little family, but also just missing my community at home. And then also just missing their life events and stuff and not being there for like graduations and weddings and stuff is kind of really sad to see people just like kind of living their lives without you, which is fine because they're looking at you and they're like, oh my gosh, like she's living her best life. I wish I could be doing what she's doing. So the grass is always greener. And then the highlights though are like just having like the best times of my life, just being way more open to like spontaneity and adventure and meeting people from all over the world and just kind of like letting life surprise you. Like there's so many things that I'm doing right now that wouldn't have happened if I didn't go travel, or even solo traveling I love to do because I'm just so much more open to new people and experiences. And I just feel like I feel like I'm living in a movie. Like I love keeping myself on my toes, and then doing things thinking of like the plot of my life. So yeah, it's been really, really awesome.
Mhm. Yeah, it's funny, Joe and Andrew, I feel like I'm a little bit opposite in terms of like the planning. I'm very type A, where I usually need to have something planned out like 2-3 months in advance. And then I'm like, okay, I'm calm, like I'm not stressed. So have a whole spreadsheet of like, hey, here's 2022. These are cities. Here's the flights. This is where I'm staying. This is the grocery store I'm going to be going to. This is the gym I'm going to be going to. Something like that.
That's awesome.
So usually 2-3 months out, that's like my planning, and then I feel pretty comfortable with that.
I'm like a week out. That sounds crazy.
Lisa says I'm just like Zach, lol.
Oh gosh, but yeah, I mean, I think one of the best things about it's kind of like a catch-22, like we were talking about with some of the relationships that you form, and then you're going on to the next place. I think one thing that I very much value is having experiences, but having them with people. So even though I am traveling solo, getting to travel like at an outside location, meeting people, and being able to go on this hike with a group of people, or go out and explore this city, that's what I value. So even if I am traveling solo, I know outside I'm going to meet people, make friends there, and be able to have those experiences and really choose doing what you want when you want. And like Andre and Julie said, like there's so many things that I've done this past year that, if I stayed in one place, it just wouldn't have had those experiences. And I feel like putting yourself in that uncomfortable position, that challenging yourself, that it leads to growth as well. So I think that's one thing that's really cool. And like Julie said, technology is a great thing. If you meet someone you want to keep in touch, you will. And I feel like there's a good chance you'll meet back up.
Thanks so much, guys. I'm going to jump into some of the questions that we've got in our chat box. And please, we've still got another 10 minutes, so please feel free to add any questions that you have into the chat box. Oh, this is a good one. Do you count your outside stays as a business expense when you're doing taxes? Can you do that?
I'm at a corporate position, so maybe this is more so if you work for yourself, but yeah. I can't do that.
I only recently started freelancing, so I haven't done that yet. So I will definitely look into that.
I don't make any income really, not anything substantial this year. So I'm not paying taxes anyway.
We don't got the answers for this one.
but generally, I do know of other nomads that do can write off membership specifically against, if they are fully remote, this would be considered a business expense. So there are definitely people doing that. Any general tax tips? I know that the sort of setup for most of you is a little bit different. But anything that you think would be great to share? PwC.
I mean, I think next year I'm just going to actually pay someone to do my taxes, so I don't have to deal with all the different states and watching TurboTax, the return value go up and down, and I have no clue what my answers are doing. So probably just pay someone to do it.
I think that's a great tip. When I moved to America, I had no idea that you needed to file taxes yourself because the UK is very different, unless you're self-employed. But yeah, so that was a whole new thing for me. what do you think the average age is of people staying in outside? So the actual official average age, and I'll ask you guys what your experience is, but the average age officially is 34. So we range from having people in their 20s all the way into their 50s and 60s. I don't know, has that been your experience in-house, you guys?
Yeah, I was gonna say early 30s. I've met people at the houses all the way from mid 20s all the way up to late 40s. So it's been a wide range.
Yeah, definitely noticed it's mainly people in their 30s. I started staying outside when I was 22, so I was always the youngest. But yeah, definitely a wide range.
And then a question on SIM cards. Do you switch SIM cards so that you can get data anywhere in the world? And how do you go about staying connected if you're not staying at a co-working place? Any ideas?
I'm fortunate enough that my phone plan just has an international plan. So I think if you have Verizon, you can pay like $10 a day, and that'll give you international data.
Yeah.
I have T-Mobile. I have the international plan on T-Mobile. And I don't pay any extra per day because this is baked into T-Mobile. And also I'm on a plan with my mom, so we get 50% off. I think this plan is typically $90 a month, and with a discount it's $45.
Nice.
That is, if I ever have to get another SIM, I can buy one. And that's because I made sure to get the eSIM, for the T-Mobile eSIM, which means that I can put in dual SIMs. And if you have a physical SIM, if you don't have another place to put it in, then you have to take it out and deal with that. But because I have an eSIM, I can have both SIM, or I guess the eSIM and the physical SIM in the phone at the same time, if I ever really need it.
Don't know how I've never heard of that. That's amazing.
It's really helpful. I do not have an international plan. And for a long time, I did not even get a SIM card. I kind of just winged it and hope for the best. And if I get lost, I would just find somewhere with Wi-Fi to reroute myself. And that just speaks to my chaotic travel ways, but I'm working on getting better. So when I was in Europe, I got an eSIM card because I didn't want a physical one. I didn't want to lose mine. So it's called Airlo, and it's actually really cool. So you can get it. And so for Europe, I was kind of like bouncing around. I was in like a different country every week. And you can buy a SIM card based on like the country you're in. I don't know if I explained that well, but Airlo is super helpful. It's an eSIM card, very easy to use, and I'll definitely be using that again on my next trip.
And there's some good products available that you can like take along a hotspot with you for like kind of emergency connection. So that's worth looking into. And I know a lot of European plans, I certainly know that in the UK, there's some plans that allow you to be at home anywhere. So whatever your plan is in the UK, and I know some other European countries, for those of you that are based in Europe, you essentially act as if you're at home and you can use your data anywhere. So it's worth looking into those plans as well. I haven't seen one in America, but there might be one. I feel like I would have come across it, but there is another question here. So this kind of ties into the average age. I'm older and own a company with offices in the US, Costa Rica, and the Philippines, and want to work remotely some of the time. What are the ages? Would I feel old? I really, particularly for outside, there really is a range of people of different ages, backgrounds, industries, everything. So I feel like there's a really diverse community of people who are looking to connect with everyone. So no, I really, I think it only adds to the experience to have people from all age ranges. No. And also, are there spaces for small business retreats? For example, Costa Rica, we are doing more business offerings and team retreat options. If you go onto our website, you'll be able to find some more information about that and get in touch with a team member that can point you in the right direction on team retreats that we do privately. So definitely worth something worth looking into. There's also a question around parents and how often do you meet parents trying it, average kid ages. Have you come across parents living this kind of lifestyle? And if they are, what age their kids are?
Yeah, I haven't. I've stayed at 5 houses so far. I haven't come across any parents yet. I gotta imagine they're out there.
I've also haven't come across any parents, and I've stayed quite a few outsites.
As a new parent myself, I can imagine it being quite complicated to live like this, maybe when your children are a bit older. I've definitely met some people in houses who have kids who are older and who are now, you know, either at college or a different setup, who are doing it. But I mean, Outside when we don't host kids, but I think that as remote work becomes much more embedded into our culture and society, I think it will become easier for parents to be able to do this. I think it's still a little bit tricky now. I can't imagine traveling with my 1-year-old at this point, but that might change. And this is a really nice final question to end on, actually. Is this lifestyle something you see yourselves doing long term?
Well, I never say, like, nothing's forever, so I don't speak in absolutes like that, but for the foreseeable future, yeah. Nothing has, I mean, this was a 1-year experiment for me, and now I'm over 2 years, and I can see this continuing, and I'm making it work for me. So I thought about maybe buying another house, but I got scared away from that pretty early on. So I love this freedom, and I chose wings instead of Ritz, and I'm happy with that decision.
I love that.
Good answer. For me, I guess kind of soon I realized that being fully nomadic isn't for me, but I like having a hybrid lifestyle, like maybe like half the year in LA and then half the year traveling. And I definitely know that I will always want to have a flexible lifestyle where if I want to go spend a month in the Philippines, then I can. So yeah, I've always just created my life to work in with that kind of lifestyle.
Yeah. After doing this lifestyle for 2 years now, fully nomadic, I think have another year of it in me, but I think what it's going to look like is 6 to 8 months in one city and then save 3 to 4 months for traveling. So if the new home base turns out to be Austin, try to get out the summer months when it's ungodly hot, but then kick around for when it's nice.
Guys, thank you so much. I feel so inspired by all of your lives currently, and your experiences. I'm sure all of our attendees feel the same way. We really appreciate you taking the time to share your insights and you know, just how you're doing this and making it work. And it seems like all of you are very much making it work and really living your best lives. So thank you so much. I want to thank everyone for joining as well. If we didn't get to your question, I'm really sorry for that. I'm conscious of time. We've already run a little bit over, but I hope that that's okay with everyone. If you have any follow-up questions, either for myself or for the panelists, please do get in touch. We'll do follow-ups on Member Hub and through Eventbrite in the next couple of days. So you'll be able to watch the replay as well, if you missed anything. Did any of you guys want to say anything just to finish off before we end?
I think one thing I would say is that anytime I've stayed at an outside house, it's been meeting great people. It's always been great experiences, made new friends. I think that was the biggest hesitation, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be sharing a space with complete randos. Like, what am I doing? But each house I've stayed at has been great people.
Definitely.
Oh,
Outside it's really awesome people for sure.
Well, thank you so much to all of you. Thank you all for attending. Hope to see you next month at some of our events. We'll put up our new program at the end of the month. Thank you so much again. Lovely to see you all. Have a beautiful rest of your days, evenings.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.